call the Monday, September 9th, 2024 meeting of the Tree Advisory Commission in session. All right, first bit of business is, has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting? Any corrections?
I wasn't here, so I don't have any idea.
If you don't have a quorum of attendees from last meeting, you can't approve the minutes.
I thought 3 was.
Well, but if Alice wasn't
For the
there, she
last
would
meeting.
abstain
Quorum of people from the last meeting.
So we have to push that to the,
unless, sorry, unless Scott shows up. So you can postpone the
okay.
discussion of the minutes if you like.
So we're gonna postpone the approval of the minutes for the, when was our last meeting?
You said July.
July 1st, 2024 meeting. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, any public comments or comments from the floor? You want to go on record? Why don't you tell, because we're now in the meeting session.
So I'm trying to just follow up on my application for 172 East 4th Street for the tree trimming application from May of 2023.
And you want trimming off of from the branches that are going up over your house.
Right, the branches are over and touching the house, additionally over the wires that lead along the street as well as to the house. And then over the street that has been trimmed in the past, but the tree grows so quickly that it's back to just a van or something, not even quite with truck height is hitting them as they're down the street. But there's additionally, I have concern about some health issues with the tree as well as the roots are growing around the manhole covers that are there. And it's causing flooding issues further. It's basically like a good 5-6 inches of water that puddles in there. And even difficulty with needing to get into them to do the inspection that must be done yearly now. The person who came to do that inspection, there's more difficulty because the roots are growing over top of that.
Right, thank you. Old business or tabled applications, application 2024-10, Carol Haspin, 15 West 4th Street. Removal request was previously approved in July. That has since been done. It actually had been done the day of our last meeting, I believe, because I went out to look at it and it was not there. So somehow, but that has been taken care of. Application 2024-11, Lillian Shoe, 17 West 4th Street, requested the historic hitch post in front of her home be removed and replaced when the stump is ground. I talked to Rick about this, and he is concerned that's going to be a difficult task. They have the stump, so they remove the tree, and the stump is still there, and the hitching post is immediately to the left of it. So he's concerned about trying to not damage the post and its removal.
Right.
All right, so the first step is to get the stump ground as best they can, but without damaging the post, and then try to remove it. Rick was looking into hiring somebody to grind the stump. And there are a number of stumps that need to be ground, so as at this point, we're waiting for stump grinding, and then we'll just try to determine if we can get that post out without damaging it. Nothing to approve there, other than It's gonna be, I guess we should put it on, table it to the October meeting. So that we'll know more information about the stump grinding. I get a motion to table it to October.
So moved.
All in favor?
Right.
Application 2024-12, Ron Booklich, 33 The Strand, removal and replacement. That was for 128. Was that what was that property for?
I thought it was for 10 and 11. There's one tree at 15 and two trees at 17.
Okay, those were, so it's the same application, it's a duplicate of that application. Yeah. All right, so that was completed.
All done, yeah.
All done. All right, new business, new applications, application 2413, Fred Wright, 104 West Sixth Street. It's a pruning request. Has anybody been out to see that tree? So that is one of the sycamore trees, one of the many along that road. It's quite large. And I don't think the city could prune it. So I think that we would have to ask Rick to get a bid on what it would cost to get the prune. It does look like it needs some pruning. It is heading, same situation. Branches are over the house and it's entangled with some wiring there.
And then the next door neighbor approached me yesterday and said that he would like his tree trimmed, which was also one of the sycamores.
You know the name?
Was Jago Plant,
Oh, Jago, yeah.
yeah.
So it might be cheaper to just do it at the same time.
Well, this is what he was thinking.
Is he gonna submit an application?
I asked him if he would. But the reality, I think, is you could, prune all of them, right? I mean, they're all over the place.
They are.
Many of them have wires running through them and, it just depends.
I know, but this is the only place in the city right now that has a
Yeah.
canopy over the
Yeah.
street.
All right, well, then. We'll have to, we're gonna ask Ron to get a, estimate or give us some idea what it would, if he thinks his guys can do it, or if we need to get a contractor to give us an estimate. And then it'll become a budgetary item at that point.
Lest we forget, or me forget, it might be a good time to talk just a little bit about the budgeting for that. And I think, a couple people have made it clear on council that, they've given you the money and you can allocate it any way you want. And I would think that as you get more requests for the trimming and the big removal, that you might want to decide that, you do have two budgets. And when people make a request for something, and if the budget is used up in that area, then it might be a good idea not to approve it, or,
Which,
put it in next year's budget.
Well, we
Yeah.
have 32,000, right, this year?
22.
22.
What happened? I looked at the budget. I went online today.
Unless there was carryover money, I mean, that would be wonderful.
It says
Now let's
here,
keep talking.
pruning, planting trees, 32,000. I'm not right, I'm reading that correctly, right? Right here?
Norman,
They
you want-
didn't even ask for that
Hold
much.
on. Let's,
No.
Pruning, planting trees.
You only asked for 20, right?
No, we
We
asked,
asked for
20.
35.
Oh, we asked for 20. Oh, yeah, right, 35. And then we got
I thought we got 25.
22 is what I thought.
That's what I thought, yeah.
yeah,
This says fiscal year 2025 adopted budget, pruning / planting trees, 32,000.
Wow.
Hello?
I'm I think I'm gonna hang around more.
Good news. All right.
Well, there you are.
So we'll, yeah, I think that it will be a ripple effect. If people in that area want to have trimming done, so. It's gonna be the way it
I
has
mean,
to
if
be.
it's those big sycamores, that's beyond the cities.
No, it's,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, you know, you need like Bartlett or Davy with a cherry picker to come in and do it.
Yeah,
that's why.
And
so
probably for your tree, it would be the
I
same.
would say, yeah, I was out there today. It's very tall. So I need, Rick to get estimates. Trimming.
No, I have to say, I haven't talked to anybody at this office. Because I wrote to Dan Ducato today asking the question about 2020. But then I decided I'm sure that that's public knowledge, so I went online and I saw that,
What's the
the
deal?
32,000. This is, well, it says adopted budget. So it isn't a proposed, it's adopted. So
It's good.
now whether that includes something that goes to Public Works, I don't know.
Well, we have to forward it to
Verify
Public
that.
Works, so.
yeah.
You have to verify that because
Yeah,
it's a
Oh, yeah.
big difference.
I'm not
Yeah.
making any assumptions.
yeah.
No. All right, moving on. So that was that. Application 2024-14, Tanasi Baldet, 54 East Fourth Street, pruning request. I went down there today. That is I believe that's a Bartlett pear. You know where that is, Ron?
It's the purple
Well,
house.
I know 54 East,
Oh, no, that's right. That's, I'm thinking, the other.
that's an ash tree that's
That's an ash tree
dead,
that's failing.
yeah.
So that, I think is gonna be a removal. eventually.
Right.
Just asked for
yeah.
pruning though, huh?
She only asked for, part of it's alive, but it's not, it's, I think I think we should ask for pruning and then have them evaluate when they're pruning about whether it should be removed. So another estimate.
And that tree is on the, treatment list
Yes.
for the ash trees, but it's well past
Salvage.
requiring any treatment.
Right, so I know what that is. Okay, so I would ask that we get a motion to postpone any decisions on, actually, no, I think we should have a motion to have a estimate done for pruning for 54 East Fourth.
I move that we have we have an estimate for the pruning of 54 East Fourth Street.
All in favor?
It's
We
half
have to
dead.
second it?
Well, at least,
Second.
But
All in
if
favor?
the tree's half dead,
Well,
why would you spend money on pruning?
Yeah,
Well,
well,
I think that she didn't ask, so we have to, in that case, then we would have to go back to the owner and have them, I believe, make a new application. If we approve the pruning, then they will go evaluate the tree and then it may come back, it may skip a step. So I don't know if they will remove the tree without the owners.
well, maybe we should move to have the tree evaluated to see whether pruning is
Okay, that's a better,
advisable or removal, right?
I agree.
Okay.
Let's revise that last motion.
To be,
What is it?
well, right now you've got to get an estimate for pruning.
Okay.
So we what
It's,
that we have the tree evaluated to see whether pruning or removal is advisable.
Right.
Either pruning or removal is advisable.
Get a second on that? All in favor?
Aye.
great.
Application
This one?
2024-15, Gale Sites, 55 Strand, removal and replacement. The removal has been done.
I was gonna say, I thought so.
So that was done. We had a bit of a storm and, part of the tree came down. And they came and, finished the job shortly afterwards.
Yeah, about 2 weeks after.
Yeah. As for the replacement, that will be, as soon as we can. Again, the stump needs to be grinded and removed. So that is, I would call that complete. I guess we need to keep it there for replacement requests. All right, I make a motion that we put the application 2024-15 on the, old business, under all business for the October, for the replacement aspects.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
All right, so the application 2024-16 Len Resitar, 115 East Third, removal request. So that is the Bartlett pear. Have you seen that, Ron? It's a Bartlett pear that's probably, it's not too old. They grow pretty fast. And it doesn't look real healthy. Anybody else, has anybody else looked at it?
Oh, I'm thinking of 4, yeah. No, I don't know the tree.
There's no photos.
Is this in here? Hard to tell.
No, right there.
No,
Oh, that's the next one, I believe.
okay.
All right, so, since many of you are not familiar with the tree, maybe we'll put that on on hold. We'll table that till October. Everybody should go look at it. Kind of get a motion.
I move that we table the request for removal of the tree, 115 East Third Street.
In favor? I mean, sorry, second? All in favor?
Aye.
Application 2024-17 Gail Wade, 137 East Third, and that's a pruning request as well. I went out to look at that tree. And I believe we've looked at that tree before.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I've talked with Gail about it a couple of times and
You think it needs pruning? All right, so we'll put that on the list of pruning requests. That one, he might be able to do with the city equipment. Although there are wires involved, right? I would make a motion to that effect. We're gonna have Rick get an estimate for pruning for 137.
I move that we get a estimate for the pruning of the tree at 137 East Third Street.
We have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. No old or new no additional old or new business. So this is part of our member discussion. These were items that we talked about via Rom's prompting for things that might possibly be added to our code book, which is the city code book. And we can, I can read them to you, or you can all read them on your own. I don't know what the policy is or how you go about the, getting an addition to a code book, so I will investigate that. But all of these items in quotation, for example, all newly planted trees will be limbed up or trimmed by a certified arborist once or twice a year. Homeowner can request tree pruning via the tree work application. Item number 2, homeowners are not permitted to remove or plant trees on city property. They can't submit a tree work application for this work to be done. And number 3, Tree Advisory Commission will always consult the owners about tree removal or addition on city property in front of the home or business prior to any work being completed.
I have a question about that third one. Consult implies that the owner has right to negate
Oh,
what you're doing, right? I mean, if you don't consult somebody,
always
you don't,
consult the owner about tree removal.
you know what I mean? Like, can the owner say, no, you can't take that tree down, or can we say inform instead of?
Well, we always consult before we
Well,
remove a tree,
mhm.
and
What if the owner says, no, I don't want that tree removed?
it's happened, right? We've had that happen.
Yeah,
If it's not a safety issue, then, I think if it's a safety issue, then the city has a right to go forward with the work. But if it's not an unsafe situation, there can be discussion. So it's just, I think what you're,
well, I totally agree that, I can't tell you how many times I've heard people complain that, they went to work and they got home and the tree was gone, they didn't even know anything about it. So that absolutely
yeah.
should be done.
So
But
we try to keep everybody informed, and also with the planting of trees, because I know that we've had people who just outright said they don't want a new tree.
Yeah.
The
the
tree was
tree in front
removed.
of the tree in front of my own house, before this new one was planted, was taken down without me ever knowing it. So, I absolutely, people should be informed.
And how many years ago would that have been, Alice?
About a year and a half ago. 2 years ago, maybe.
Huh.
More like a year and a half.
I think it's before my time.
I mean, the tree it had been pruned really badly to the point where there was lights on the tree and the tree had been pruned with the lights still on it. So there were wires that were still in the tree, but still it was blooming beautifully, even though it was ugly.
It was a cherry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was quite surprised one morning when I got there and
Oh.
they got the things ready to take it down. So yes, I totally agree with that.
But do you think there's a better word than consult?
I think informed, you can still have discussions, but I think informed, maybe I'm,
No, that's fine.
I
That works.
consult, if they had consulted me, I would have said, no, keep that tree there,
Yeah,
because I don't know enough to know that it's, and I, wasn't sure we were gonna get a replacement, that kind of thing, so,
So the Tree Advisory Commission will always inform the owners about tree removal.
yeah,
addition.
yeah. It's just that, I think of more as a courtesy than a, what do you think kind of thing.
Well, so far, they're all applications.
Hmm?
It's all by applications that you're doing. or
Well,
moving.
I didn't submit an application to take my tree down, absolutely did
that
not.
would be I think a very rare instance. I mean, I'm just trying to put it in perspective. I thought maybe it happened prior to, 7, 8 years ago.
No,
Well, then that's a major mistake, I would say, and
I walked out my door and they were like ready with the, you
Yeah.
know, so I was quite surprised.
Well, I would be awfully surprised too, given the fact that there was no form for people to work from. You know, because that's usually how it's done, you know, Carl passes the word on to Furio, and then Furio talks to Rick, and then everything goes in motion. But Furio would never get it going, I don't think, unless he had something to work from, so we must have made some blunder along the way where we put the wrong address on it or whatever, and there's probably a tree out there that's waiting to come down.
Well, it might have been Mr. Harriman's tree that should have come down rather than mine, but you know, it was ugly but it was still blooming beautifully, so I was quite surprised.
Right.
Anyway,
Yeah. Well, I appreciate hearing about it
Yeah.
because I would hope that would never happen. Nor would it would be an awful mistake if we just went and planted a tree right in front of your house without talking with you about it.
yeah, no, we
Either-
did talk about that.
Either way, you know,
Yeah, that's why I was so keen to get a cherry tree because they had taken down a cherry tree
right?
and without me asking, you know, knowing really. Anyway,
Yep.
that's my sad story.
Well, no, well, you know, it's an important one for us to hear.
Yeah, okay.
So, are you all in favor of submitting a request for these 3 items to be added to the code book if possible?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can we have a motion?
I move that these 3 items, we request that these 3 items be added to the tree advisory code book,
It'd be the city code book.
the city code book. Okay, so I move that we request that the city add these 3 items to the code book, to its code book.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Alright, alright, so second item in discussion here is the Tree Advisory Commission requests that the ash tree treatment plan be reevaluated. We feel the plan is outdated and it needs to be updated. Any discussion on that?
I know nothing about this, so I can't.
So I think it came up the last meeting. Walcott and Ron had walked around. Was it just you? It may have been both. I know Walcott was aware of.
I received something in the mail from Rick
Oh, okay.
saying that there was an ash tree program, and then I think I came to the meeting and said I'd
Yeah.
never heard about
Nobody
this
knew about
before.
Right.
You know, so that was probably a couple meetings ago.
Alright, so that's what,
Right.
I would like to get approval on that so we can get the treatment plan reevaluated.
Yeah, there was 16 trees being treated at the cost of what, $6,000 or something? And then we were paying 3 and then
That's how it came up because we saw it in the budget.
right.
Yeah, nobody
Yeah.
knew about it.
Remember that?
No,
think that
I
was-
wasn't here in July, so it was discussed in July. and it
Oh,
wasn't
you
here.
were right.
No, it was May.
Yeah, you
Oh,
were.
you're, that's,
'cause you
oh,
brought it up.
was that the ash tree?
Yeah, because we
Oh,
couldn't
okay.
do
By
anything
Bartlett?
because we were out of money.
By Bartlett?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, that was a surprise.
Alright,
Because I
well,
remember I went to see where we were in the budget and turns out we were over because
Right.
of this particular thing that we didn't know anything about.
So I went out and looked at all those trees and, excuse me,
Sorry.
and I forget where they all are now. However, my conclusion was there were probably about 6 of them that, you know, were in sufficient shape to have a treatment of some kind. For example, there are, well, on that list, there were 2 trees in front of the sheriff's house. Those are honey locusts. But adjacent to that, there are 2 ash trees. So they were treating 4 apparently in a row. And one of the ash trees, I have in a follow-up report here. It's probably about 30–40% dead. But the one next to it is almost in perfect shape.
So you're saying that they're being ham-handed about it, they've got, you got $6,000 that they're just spending it wherever
Well, they have a
No,
contract.
willy-nilly, and they're just
Contract.
not,
I think so.
they're not evaluating or
I
anything.
think this is something that was done a while ago, you know, I've never heard of it before, so I'm only guessing. But it's, you know, probably 6, 8, 9 years ago it was put in, and it probably made sense at the time.
Yeah.
Because some of these trees were probably in good shape. Now, the one we looked at 54, 4th Street just a bit ago, that was on the list.
Yeah.
So that's a dead tree. That's not, but I can't imagine that a tree like that would be treated, but it was on the list for either having been treated or to be treated in the next 2-3 weeks.
Okay, so we want to move that the ash tree treatment plan be reevaluated with the idea that there maybe trees that should not be treated, right? That's right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, okay,
Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, one of those trees was in front of Wolcott's house. That's part of how this came up.
That's right, I remember that.
And that tree, he said, has been treated, and it really looks pretty good. But it was on the list twice. It was like 117 Harmony, and then it was you know, on the Harmony and
Probably Second Street.
in Second or
This is
something.
on the corner.
So there were 16 of these, and by the time I got through with them, I was guessing there was roughly about 6 needed treatment.
I think, didn't we figure there was Bartlett that was done?
Is there what?
Was it
Bartlett,
Bartlett?
Bartlett's is doing it, yeah. And it really
and
surprises
they're being
me.
unsupervised, basically,
Yeah, I think so.
yeah.
Yeah, they just gave them the addresses and said, you know, I'm only guessing.
Yeah.
That they did it that way.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, we'll put in the request and see where we come. Hopefully, we'll be able to recoup some of our budget.
You're gonna spend it on removal.
Yes.
I mean, Ron's got pictures of 3 here. It's a waste of money to treat them.
Yeah.
They should be cut down.
You're talking about the one on 54 East.
No, we've got more.
There's
More.
three.
There's
I've got-
more.
I've got a whole series of pictures here of dying or dead trees on the street,
That doesn't,
but that's premature here.
Yeah.
That's what
it doesn't include the ones we found when we were walking on Fourth.
No,
So there's-
Ash were attacked by something, is that
That's
what-
actual-
and so a lot of them died and.
All of them will die
They will,
unless you treat them
but the
every year.
treatment works if you get it long, early enough, is that the thing?
It
Maybe.
delays-
There's no guarantee.
It delays the process. So,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
and we have a large group of them at Mount Cuba Center that are dying. So it's not good. All right, any more discussion on that? We can move on. The tree watering plan seems to be working well. Have you had any?
I think it's been excellent.
Yeah.
Annalise has been doing her part. She and her brother have been watering about 30 trees. And she's just taken a job at can't think of it right now. Generous Pond Kendall. I think it was
Kendall
Kendall,
Crossing.
yeah. So I'm not exactly sure what's gonna happen next year. Her brother will be 16, but I don't know whether he's gonna have a vehicle or not. And that's, I think, kind of important because we have at least another year of watering along the main street, which is what they've been doing.
Yeah.
And then Annalise has been going up to the farm once a week, which I've discovered is not enough. So we had about 14, 16 trees, and now we have probably about 6 or 8.
They died? for lack
Well,
of
I don't
water?
know. It's,
Hot summer.
yeah, they
gee.
have already thrown their leaves, so they've given up for the year. Whether they'll come out in the spring or not, I don't know. But more on that later.
Oh, mass
But
murder.
but the city's been doing just a tip-top job with, you know, filling those bags every week.
Yeah, it's been noted. All right, and we have already had our budget report. You have anything to add with that?
No, I'm gonna get a hold of Diane Delgado and as I said, I emailed her this morning. I'm not even sure she's in the office today. I don't know. So,
She emailed
no,
me.
okay. Well, anyway, I'll find out whether this is the true number or not and how much we spent.
All right, we need to get a clarification.
Yeah.
Ron, do you have anything else?
City tree inventory weeks.
Yeah, I have.
Oh, I'm sorry.
May I just
Yeah.
take a little time here?
Thank you.
This is really old business.
Yeah,
This is something that Carl put together some time ago. And I bring it up periodically. I asked Lisa recently if she'd put it on the website, and I don't know what happened. That was about 2 weeks ago, but that's what's been happening to it.
yeah.
This is something that Carl put together. You all approved many, many months ago, and for some reason, it's not making
So
its
this
way.
takes the place of this form?
Yes, ma'am. Mhm.
That's good.
Well, and I asked Lisa to do something about it recently because Gail Seitz approached me when her tree imploded
Mhm.
and she wanted to fill out the form. She went and looked at the form and everything. She said, well, this is,
Gibberish.
yeah, do I have to get an
It's meant to
arborist?
discourage people from
Do I
actually
have to
filling
get
out the form
whatever?
probably.
And now that we have a real live person in the room that's filled one of these out, the question is, would you rather fill this one out or that one and get the same amount of service? Oh, maybe better service.
She's hoping for.
Maybe some.
So,
Yeah, I think that part of what happened was the transition of the staff in city office.
right,
And then, because we had it in place, I thought at one point,
I did too.
and
Yeah.
then,
I thought it was there, but I go back periodically and check and see what's on our website.
To say, cause I went on at some point and I'm pretty sure I saw this. That's
You
what I
saw
was
this
trying-
one?
That's what I thought,
yeah,
cause I was about ready to submit a second application. I was like, I don't know what else to do, so I looked
Okay.
to
Yeah.
see.
So
I
that
think
would-
this was
is that recently?
Within, at least since the end of May, it
Okay.
would have been, because I talked to someone in May and then decided I would try.
So-
So did Gail go online to get this application or?
Yeah, she went to the Tree Advisory Commission website.
Ah,
And it has a list of acceptable trees. It has a tree,
when you say the tree advisory website, you mean the portion of the city website? Or
Yeah,
is there
there's a
no, if,
tab.
yeah,
Right.
if you just Google TAC, City of Newcastle, we'll get a website that we put together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, this is an August application, so it's gone back and forth.
Well, the reason I bring it up is because, I deal with flooding in my other life and, if you go on the website and you follow a certain path, you get to something that looks completely different than if you were to put up in the top search column, what you're looking for, it comes totally different. I mean, really different. So it's possible that this is on one path and not on another, on the website.
I will,
well, I think it would be really great if when people made applications, you started seeing this one.
Oh, my God,
Because
yes,
Carl
absolutely.
did a great job putting it together and it's straightforward
Yeah,
and it has all the things that we do.
yeah.
well, I'll contact Lisa and see what she says. And it may be that we have to go, talk to Antonina or,
That's what I would do.
so I will do that. Anything else, Ron?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know if you ordered any trees or not, but I ordered a few. And, just wanted to, go over them a minute if I could.
Sure.
This is what we're planting in the fall. These would be new trees. And we'll be putting 3 Mesa Glows. From the bank to the, one in front of the bank there, and then 2 in front of the Booth House. And that will finish off that whole street from the Booth House to the Terry House. So we'll have, 10 Mesa Glows there. More than anyone, I would assume, on the East Coast, yeah. By a red rocket or two. And when I put in, 4 trees in the spring, along, West Fourth, 2 other people were keen on having, red rockets put in. So we'll have about 6 on that side of the street, and then hopefully about 6 of the pink flare cherry trees on your side. Now, if we can get Mr. Harriman's situation straightened out, he has a big stump in front of his house to be
Yeah.
ground, but more on that later. You know, we could also add one there.
Mhm.
3 City Sprites, I was working on the other end of town. This would be, East Fourth Street. You all agreed, at one point, you voted to take out Ian Huntley's Zelkova. And Arthur, I think you followed up on this, right, and figured out what his name was and where he was, right? Right around 128 East Fourth. We had a picture of that, and there was, that's the only tree on that block until you get to the Zelkovas and then the elm trees. It's an absolute wasteland, all the way from John Carter's all the way up, save the one butchered Zelkova. And Ian's helped that thing along by shaving off a lot of branches because they were up against the house and whatever.
Yeah.
So, there are about 4 tree pits I put in there, and, I've got enough trees for about 3 of them, 3 City Sprites. So we'd have a few on the one end of East Fourth, and then we'd have a few on the west end of, Fifth. We have about 5 of them up there. One remaining tree pit between, 4th Street on Delaware to 5th Street, and that's 408. And that
Okay.
belongs to Lula and David.
Yeah.
And they approached me over the summer and they said, you know, we've been spoil sports. You know, we're the only place along this whole area that doesn't have a tree. And I said, well, let's remedy that. So one City Sprite there. And you all voted to put in a ruby vase or a Vanessa for Rod Gillespie.
Yeah.
And I was encouraging him to talk to some of his neighbors. I've talked to the next door neighbor, Ray, and he's vacillating, and I think it's up to Rod to swing the day. But I have enough of those rascals, courtesy of Norman and his pal Doris. We have 3 of those coming. So Rod gets one, and then we have hopefully 2 more that would go in and start to make a row there. That's in that area from Mark Miller's, you know, right on up to Sarah Hutchinson's,
Right,
right,
yeah.
where the willow oak is. and-
There's a, was it, what's his name? The guy with the bike Delaware, he has a bike stand there. They would totally be a tree. So, you know, we think that immediately they would say yes to a tree right there, but they have a bike stand.
Yeah.
And he's like the president of Bike Delaware,
Right,
so.
That's
what I
Suzanne
gotta
Swiss.
Suzanne Swift,
Yeah.
yeah.
say. Swift, yeah. Anyway.
Well, then we'll be doing a heap of replanting. One Summers Tower, 34 East Third. This will be about the 3rd tree we put in for the Valras. They paid for their own trees.
Okay.
very large, summer tower, so, I owe them one, so that's a free tree on me.
Are they failing again there?
The what?
Is it that, do you think it may be an issue with the the soil there?
I have no idea. I just keep putting them in.
I know, it's, this is the third try, right?
Yeah, we had Amalenkers there before and they, had a bug. And then we went to the, four very large, Summers Tower and then one died. I ordered three more, two for me and then one for them, put it in and it's gone. So we'll have to do some, work before we put another one in.
Right.
And then at 25, the Strand, we put one in and it never opened. So that's a free one. They're gonna, that's on me. And then at 55 West Fourth, where we have a poison tree, we'll do one pink mist. We don't have any pink flares, but this is very close. Two spring flurries, on and on it goes. Now, there's one that I put in 7, 8 years ago, Red Rocket on the corner of 30 and Harmony. That thing has some kind of a fungus, about half of it is gone, so I have a replacement there.
You said the corner of Third and Harmony?
Third and Harmony by the Peach House.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there were 3 red rockets in a row and then one was damaged when they were repairing the house.
Right.
So we replaced that last year. Second one is good, and then the one adjacent to the corner has all kinds of problems.
There's a tree pit across the street from them. as
There's a
well.
what?
A tree pit across the street from,
Oh,
That
at
corner.
Bob Short's. Yeah,
Yeah.
that gets a city sprite.
I was asked about that today.
Well, I put one in before from the farm.
Yeah.
And that's one that just didn't carry over. It came damaged. And I grew it over the summer a bit, put it in, and then it just didn't make it. And then I mentioned earlier, trees growing at the farm. We had about 16 or counting some very little ones, which the deer have eaten the heads off of them, so we can't try to grow little trees there. They love them. But we have 4 fire starters and I think a couple of pink mists. So some of those will probably come back out onto the street, I'm hoping. And my suggestion with the, if you want to continue doing anything at the farm, trees that you have left over from an order in the fall, I would put them out there, winter them over, and then try to plant them in the spring. That worked beautifully for this spring.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't try to waste my time watering them over the summer. You don't have the resources to do it, and it's just hard to find someone to be
Right.
dependable.
Yeah.
Next page. People play. Okay, I have in that packet that we handed out earlier, we have a bunch of pictures. 8 of them in a row. The very first one is the famous exploded tree at 55, 57 and removed, but I show a picture of it because there's another silver maple just down the way there. You can see wires are just careening off of all the branches. And these 2 trees were highlighted in Linda Susky's article for the Weekly, saying they were planted in the 40s, I believe. Next page is the famous poison tree at 55 West 4th. I show this to you to make my case that it was poisoned because there were flowers all around it and only one of the flower sets was burned out and the rest of them are just hardy. So I think someone just poured something on this. The article in the Wall Street Journal recently where 2 billionaire neighbors were fighting one another and one of them
It was up in Maine.
Smoked the other person's tree, yeah. And now they're being charged and, there'll be,
Caused $1.1 million in damage.
that's right.
Oh my
That's a-
God.
Since the poison went down into the beach, they had a beachfront property.
Oh,
And the owner-
jeez.
They were trying to get one owner was trying to get the other owner to take a line of trees down so they could see the water better.
Right.
And they didn't agree. Next thing you know, the trees were all dying,
Yeah,
but then everything else around it was dying.
well, this is the first time that, I mean, I look at these trees about every other day, walking up the street and everything, just to make sure they're
You
not a
know, this
problem.
was like, one day it's fine, next day it's gone. It's
But
amazing.
2 days later, it
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
just gone,
I was shocked when I saw it too.
yeah. The third tree I have here is Ian Huntley's tree at 128. And you can see there's not much left of it, it's alcova and a big mess around the bottom there, and then the next tree is another butchered tree. This is a big leaf linden at 132 East Second Street.
Ian Huntley's was 128, 124.
Yeah, Ian's is at 128. Oh, I'm sorry, 124 East Fourth. And then looks like these were run off a little bit out of order, but that's all right. This is a big leaf linden, 132nd East. This is by Sue Orchards. Be nice to take that rascal out, I would think. And then the next tree you've already seen, this is the one at 54th East Fourth.
Yeah.
Dead ash. Next one is 45 West Fifth. Another dying ash. And it too was on the list that Rick gave me for being treated.
Okay. Like that,
And then
closing the barn
the,
door after the horse is gone, kind of thing.
yeah. The next tree is one of the two I mentioned between the sheriff's house and the arsenal. This was being treated. It looks to me like about, what, 30–40% is
Mm.
compromised.
Good
Yeah.
section
Yes.
of it.
It's got these clusters of heavy foliage and then almost nothing.
It looks awful.
And then the very last one, has got nothing to do with anything except that it's just dead. This is 28 West Fifth. Just a little filigree around the bottom and the rest of it is just, gosh knows.
So these trees haven't been requested, most of them not, haven't had any requests from
I
anybody.
just walked the streets and
Yeah.
I just, we used to have this idea that we were gonna be proactive. And when we saw trees that were having problems, we'd make a note of them and then, fill out a form and report them. So there are at least a few on this, in this grouping. And then 3 trees at 1517 West, as you mentioned, voted to remove, and they've been removed. Stumps to be ground. About 7 of them. And we took a tree down at 605 Delaware Street a few months ago. And that sits there. There's one next to the library, that big oak tree that we took down. I think part of the problem, I'm bringing this up not to be nasty in any way, but we have a bit of a problem when we don't have a code inspector.
Yes.
We
I mean,
still don't
who's-
have a code inspector.
Yeah,
What happened? I thought somebody was about to be hired.
well, someone came on for 2 weeks and then quit.
Oh,
They're trying to find another person to do it, but, it puts everyone in a difficult situation because, Carl wants to move ahead with some of these things that people are reporting, and there's no one to pick it up and carry it. and you call Rick and, you know, Rick has 10 men that he's working with and, you know, this is superfluous unless the code inspector comes to him and says, this is something we need to do. Please kindly take these trees out if you can. So I don't know exactly what to do about it. The last category I just left unattended, trees to be trimmed. I think there are a number of them here that, we've been talking about, and I don't know if they've been trimmed or not. Right, which, you know, gets to the issue at hand today. You know, someone comes in and you're not the only one, unfortunately. There's a list of trees to be trimmed and I don't know what they are.
Well, last month we talked about it. I don't think we made it an official action, but maybe we should. That we need to have some type of, a document that the city controls. That when we submit our approvals to them, they keep track of what, you know, so that they have a, ongoing running list of what trees have been, we've had, applications for removal or trimming, and we will have, at some place that we can go, then we say, okay, yeah, we have all these, so we don't run into this situation.
Yeah.
So I'm going to, talk to the city about that.
Forgive my ignorance here, but the code inspector, what is the code inspector's job as far as our committee? Do they inspect the trees or do they get the estimates like the other guy did
Well,
or?
in the past,
Mhm.
when I first started, we had Furio and, he attended our meetings, which was awesome because he knew exactly what we were.
Mhm.
So he had all the requests. When he walked out of here, he had all the requests and then he would, contact the head of Public Works, talk to them about what they could do and what they can't do. And then if there were bigger jobs that needed to have, bids, he would submit
He would
the
submit the bids.
bids.
Is that typical for a code inspector to do that, or is that?
I don't know what the job description says here, but typically the code inspector is the person who enforces the codes,
Yeah, that's what I'm.
which is a
thinking.
broad,
Yeah, sure, yeah.
there could be a code about, you know, historic preservation, there are codes, well, the code book for the city is quite large. So any of things in the code book that have to be enforced, he was the person.
There's really nobody else on the city staff that could fill that role, huh? You know what I'm saying? If we don't have a code inspector, is there somebody else that?
Well, I think Rick has been kind of quasi assigned to it. Kathy, do you know anything about it? No.
He is.
Is Rick from Public Works?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's the head of public works. So I used to submit all our requests to Furio, now I submit them to Rick. But he, as Ron said earlier, he controls all the public works for the city. He has a lot on his plate. So,
Does he have an assistant or something? I'm just desperate to find somebody who could fill that role that wouldn't necessarily, because if you get a code inspector, they might not have any. I'm sure they think they're just gonna enforce codes, walk around
Well,
and
he
enforce
didn't,
codes.
Bureau didn't have anything to do with the trees. He was the facilitator.
Right, exactly. But is that part of the job description of a code inspector? I don't know if it is or not.
The job posting.
Huh?
It's not on the job posting.
Yeah, I think he was
I think he came out because
out of his kindness of his heart.
I do, yeah.
I mean, he
That's
was.
what I'm
he
wondering,
was,
if that's,
he
you
was
know,
very into the city.
yeah. If we're having trouble. So if
well,
we're
there you
finding-
go. I think maybe that's part of the, because sometimes it's about, you know, the sidewalks or, you know, branches that are potentially dangerous. Yeah, we won't know until that position is filled, so.
Well, in the process, I guess my feeling is, you know, walking around the town and it makes it look like, you know, we're not focusing, you know, we're not attending to what's out there. because this is a pretty long list. I don't remember having anything like this for a long, long time.
And there are things missing, like my friend's request.
Yeah.
So,
But had she submitted an application?
yeah,
And all you can do is vote on it and pass the information along. I mean, you can't, you know, arrange for all kinds of things to be happening. You can't get any bids. And at least half of these things, all the stump grinding involves getting bids on it.
Right.
But we've got some nasty stumps out there.
sort of dangerous kind of things, right? Would you say some of them are dangerous? I'm trying, I'm
well-
for straws here, you know, if you're the code inspector,
Yeah.
trying to get somehow that works into
Yeah,
the,
but I don't think, Uriel wasn't doing it as the code.
as part of his job. This is what I'm worried about. We do get a new code inspector. Will they not be doing it?
It may not. they
We
may-
need to find somebody who
They
is
choose
going
not
to
to
do it
do
as
it.
part of their job, I think,
Yeah.
right?
Because he stayed over and then attended the meetings and with,
He was even here after he quit, I think.
Yes.
For the one last meeting.
For the
he
last
had.
meeting.
yeah.
So I'm thinking that we need somebody who's,
Now, wait a minute, you aren't a relative of sure.
yeah. really.
We tried to get him on the commission.
Well, it's
So at this point, the
it's a
best we
problem.
can do is to, I will create a document and send it off to Rick with all our requests, for all the removals. And, then we wait for a response.
Just wonder if, I hadn't thought about it before, but just wonder about having some of these photos like this, and then when we come to the meeting, we say, wait a minute, we've talked about all these and we've made recommendations. Now, is this still on the street? Is this one gone? This one here?
Well, here's the other thing. I didn't see the agenda till just now. So I didn't know what trees were actually an application.
You didn't get an email with the agenda?
No,
I didn't. You didn't either?
so
Did you get
there's no way,
I got it, yeah.
there's no way I would have been able to
You don't send it.
go and.
I don't send it
check
out. I get one.
I didn't get it,
You didn't get it either?
no.
Rika is supposed to send it out.
Yeah.
But she was on vacation. And Lisa was then supposed to. I got an email from Antonina that said, look at what Marika sent you and please make any additions or corrections, and I did. And then they sent an updated, but maybe I was the only one that got it.
Mhm.
Okay,
Now,
another thing to address,
did you all get a copy of this,
yes,
of the trees, where they are?
You mean recently?
inventory.
They're just hot off the press.
No, I have it here in this.
It's in your packet.
Yeah,
This is an updated form and it's reasonably accurate.
inaccurate?
Accurate.
Oh, accurate. Okay.
Carl,
Okay.
could I get that sent to me before the meetings too?
I'll forward it.
Okay.
I don't know if the city will, but I will.
I have one final question. I'm wondering how many of you read the article that Linda Susky wrote for the Weekly?
Just now read it. Well done.
Well,
Fascinating, actually.
Mhm.
I just had one question then. What lessons from the article did you pick up that have anything to do with what we're doing now?
Should let our Safa do
For
it?
what?
We should let our Safa do it.
Yeah. Oh, you thought it was a plug for SAFA, did you?
No,
I
But
found it,
SAFA did it for a long, long time.
I know, but they weren't concerned about where these trees were going to, invade anywhere. You know, which of course, back then you probably wouldn't have thought about it. You just, because there weren't that many trees in town, right? from
they
what you
wanted the
said.
canopy.
Yes,
That was the goal.
yeah,
And they got it. in
Yeah.
A lot of the city, but the sycamores create a beautiful canopy. I live under a sycamore tree. But they're just, they're messy and they are destroying
So sad,
sidewalks.
so sad that you can't have that kind of canopy without the side effects. you
Well, my
know?
little Nissa that Ron planted in front of my house is gonna be creating a canopy pretty quick. It's growing fast.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
And without invading your space or?
No, it's,
Cause you're right there at the,
yeah, it's right.
at the,
There's not a lot of room between
no,
my house and it.
And there are three of them and they're all behaving,
All doing well.
Yeah. yeah.
So,
Well,
so
I-
we can only do the best we can. I think, one of the things that, I would like the city to address is having a certified arborist as a consultant that they can
call on?
call on.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
Well, you've had an arborist trimming your trees
I know,
for free for about the last 6 years.
well, and that's why I don't want, somebody who does that kind of work should get paid for it. It's
It's
a lot of
true.
work,
It's true.
so.
We rely so much on volunteers in this town. It's great, but it's also it's also, can be complicated, you know, if you have to get something done, but if the volunteer can't do it and, you know,
Well, it's, as Ron said, that the best we can do is forward our requests to the city.
yeah,
We advise the city as to what they should
right.
do, and then we have to follow up, make sure they do it. Or find out why they can't. We have really no control over them.
Well, in this little handout that I gave you, I mentioned a few things that I thought were important. And
Lyndon's
I
article,
won't belabor them, but I'd just like to mention one here.
yeah,
And it's at the very end of that report, according to the Bartlett report in 1955, the tree program was failing because there wasn't a plan. And 10 years ago, this is my rebuttal, 10 years ago, there wasn't a plan. And we had a $5,000 budget, mainly like 98% to remove trees, but no administered funds to plant trees. So in the last 4 years, you know, we've really progressed.
Yeah.
We've gone from $5,000 to maybe $32,000.
Maybe, possibly.
And I think we have a plan, right? We
Yeah.
actually put a 5-year plan together, right?
Yes,
And one of the first requirements for that was to have a report of where all the trees were that we're putting in. Now, this would have helped Linda immensely because the data she had is so flighty and haphazard
mhm,
that she, you know, kind of had to cobble the story together. But I think with this kind of information, we're getting closer to where someone in 10 years from now can look back on what we're trying to do and understand it fully.
you know, without having the budget for planting and everything, this is the reason, and I brought this up a couple times, but when I first moved to Newcastle, one of the things that attracted me was when we came on Sixth Street, there was trees on either side, it was absolutely beautiful. And I thought, oh, it's so verdant here. And then, of course, you know, trees die, they have to be taken down or whatever. And Sixth Street, I look at it now and I think, what happened? Because the trees that are there are kind of not great and many trees are gone totally.
Yeah.
So it's just a shame, and it makes such a huge difference. Like I said, this is what attracted me to the town, was that, you know, coming in there thinking, oh, wow, where am I now? You know? And now it's let's get past here and get to Delaware Street, you
Right,
know,
what's the life expectancy of a sycamore?
1,000.
Probably about 200 to 300 years old.
Yeah.
William, do you know?
Well, it's interesting, right over Kathy's head is a
Yeah,
painting with a,
yeah, there they are.
and that's a bunch of trees, and where is that? That's in front of the courthouse.
That's Dewey, is that Dewey Park behind,
Oh, yeah, that's across the street
Dewey
from my
Park?
house.
right, I think,
Yeah, oh, yeah, because that's the sheriff's house.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Many of those trees are gone.
Now, some of those trees are gone too, I guess.
Right, maybe we should adjourn during the meeting. I'd like to make a motion.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second? All in favor?
Aye,
Thank you all.
thank you.